Hello, welcome to the Wendell Elamine James Show. Today with guests we have Mr. Billy Foster. He was just released from prison after 34 years of incarceration, and we welcome him to our show. The show is for lifers coming home from prison. We want to give a forum for lifers being able to tell what they did to go to prison, they did while they were in prison, what they're doing now, and what their future goals are. So that's what this show is about. So today we have Mr. Billy Foster, better known as Billy. How you doing,
Thank
Billy?
you. Good to be here.
Good to have you.
Thank you for
Good to have
inviting
you.
me.
Right on, good to have you. How long you been home, Billy?
1 day away from 30 days.
30 days. How long did you serve in prison?
Just over 30 years.
It's over 30 years. What was your crime going into prison?
I was arrested and convicted of conspiracy to commit murder, manufacturing, interstate, out-of-state transportation, and manufacturing.
And you served 34 years. What did you do your time?
I opened up Pelican Bay State Prison, and I did my first little over a year there. Then I went to Old Folsom 4 Yard. I did a couple years there. I went to Soledad 4 when it was a 4 yard. Then I stayed there when it was a 3. Then I went and opened up Delano 3 Yard. And after a few years, after I started on my road to self-betterment, I went back to Soledad when it became a level 2.
You said self-betterment.
Yes.
Okay, from the Pelican Bay on down, you did the from level 4 down to level 3.
Right,
Basically. Down.
Yes.
Okay. So that was some work. Actually, from a level 4 Pelican Bay, you had to get a good guy transferred out of there, huh?
Yes, and I was fortunate because while at the beginning of my term, everybody fancies themselves able to do it, you know what I mean? And but one of the counselors there took a liking to me and decided that I'd be better served in another level 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because Pelican Bay, as you know, they back in the '89 they cleaned up all the prison system and took all the head of the gang members and shot callers off all the yards, and they put them up there. So Pelican Bay was lined with everybody who really was too violent for all the other yards, and that's the environment they put me in, fresh from the street.
So basically, Pelican Bay was the prison where the people that couldn't function in other prisons, they sent in the Pelican Bay.
Right.
Okay.
Whether they were too violent or for whatever reason.
Right. What yard were you on?
I was on A yard.
A yard. Okay. So you was, yeah. Well, Pelican Bay is pretty close to the Oregon border, huh?
5 miles.
5 miles from the Oregon border. So you was way almost out of California.
Yeah, it's in a town called Crescent City.
Crescent City, right? Okay. So you, what did you do while you was in Pelican Bay? What kind of activities did you get involved in Pelican Bay? Or were there any activities?
Well, in the beginning, not much. I ended up being a tutor for AB1, which is a beginning level education.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time we were there, we were on lockdown, or because of the situations on the yard. So we really didn't have a lot of free time. And just over a year that I was there, we probably hit the yard 3.5 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you were mainly on lockdown.
Mainly.
On lockdown. So what year did you leave Pelican Bay going down back to the world, more or less?
I went to Old Folsom in the beginning the middle of '90.
90. Okay. What did you do while you was in Old Folsom?
Actually, I also worked again in education,
Mm-hmm.
but again that's a level 4 yard. So, with all the extracurricular things that go on there, we've spent a lot of the time on lockdown.
Okay.
So you don't get a lot of free time in level 4 prisons.
Right.
And so a lot of the work, if you're able to do work you do on yourself, you literally do on yourself.
On yourself. Okay. So you kind of like did a rehabilitation to yourself, more or less.
Yes.
Instead of going to the programs, so you didn't have the opportunity to go to programs while in level 4s.
Yes.
Okay. So you didn't start really programming until you made it to level 3.
Well, I was able to start really programming when I went to Soledad 4-yard, but it was what they call a hard 4 soft 3.
Okay.
So things were beginning to open up there. But again, this was years after I fell. So um, I went to work in a place called the Textiles Factory.
Okay.
And
Could you explain a little about the textile?
textiles is a garment industry. They also have a silk screening industry. I worked in there full total of about 20 years. I worked as a just regular machine operator for years, and then I progressed up the chain. I was a lead man over my section because all the sections are broke up. You have, of course, you have collars, you have pockets, you have all those things that go on a shirt, right? And or a pair of pants, whichever we were making at the time. So each department had a lead man. So I took over the collar section, and I took over the panel section, which is the panels on the shirt.
Okay.
Then eventually I went up to be the lead man of the whole shop, which is called a AA journeyman.
AA.
So for
You're
many,
making big money then, huh?
no, well for prison, yes, $1 an hour.
$1 an hour. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I worked there. I worked as a journeyman lead man, AA, for 12 years.
12 years. You worked in PIA textile for 12 years.
No, I worked in PIA Textiles for almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years. Okay.
So it took me 10 years to start progressing up to lead man.
AA number.
Yeah, and then for about 12 years I was the AA.
Wow, is that right?
And I was a senior AA for 5 of those years.
Is that right? Okay.
So I literally, the whole shop was my
Yeah,
responsibility.
you worked yourself up the chain there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a lot of responsibility.
Yes, the only ones above me was the prison supervisors.
Okay. What kind of program did you attend while you was in prison?
Actually, I did quite a few. I started an organization called the White Bison Red Road to Sobriety. I'm Native American. I was a sweat leader and a pipe holder. I also was the president of a group called Talk the Line Toastmasters, which is an affiliate of Toastmasters International, which is a public speaking forum. People from all walks of life are in that, and their clubs are all over the world. So I was in Talk the Line for about 5 years. I went up in the chain there. I became the president. I was the president of that club for 2 terms until the regulation said that I had to step down and let somebody else come up. And in my professional speaking, I reached the rank of what they refer to as a advanced communicator silver, which is 1 step under a gold, and then you become a distinguished Toastmaster.
Okay. Okay.
I also reached the ranks of an advanced leadership silver. So I actually went quite far in that. I'm also a lead apprentice for a group called Alternatives to Violence, which is also a nationwide organization, which I particularly like because it allowed me not only to learn how to find and apply alternatives to the violent lifestyle that I've grown accustomed to, but it helped me and put me in a position where I could help other people to do the same thing.
Okay.
So those 2 groups were very instrumental in my recovery from violence. And not only that, I also was a chairman for the Native American Spiritual Circle. I did all the paperwork. I started several groups within the circle. Any type of volunteer work I could do, I did. I helped out in the education department again. I was even known to go into the chapel and help. There was a imam there, and that's what we call him, the imam. He actually was very instrumental in helping me in my spiritual walk, and a lot of who I am today is due to him. So it's not just my Indian traditional beliefs, but through those beliefs, the willingness and the help to open up to all factors in life that allowed me to become the man that I became.
You mentioned Alternative Divine. This AVP, is that by Gordon Graham? Was that funded by Gordon
Yes,
Graham?
and it was developed by the Quakers.
Okay, right.
Yes,
Okay.
worldwide.
Right. Yeah, okay. I'm familiar with that. Did you go to any Narcotics Anonymous or any?
Sure did.
Okay.
I went to, I was a steady member of Narcotics Anonymous, Alcohol Anonymous, and there's a alcohol 12-step program in Soledad that is an advanced workshop, you might say, on Alcoholics Anonymous.
Okay.
So I was a member of that for many years.
Okay. And the reason why I'm asking about these programs is that we want to show that we while incarcerated, we had attended a number of programs to be found suitable for parole.
Yes.
Found suitable parole is not just a given. It's not just something that you just walk into a room and you say, okay, well, I did so much time and we find you suitable, you go home. No, something that you have to work for. So we want to elaborate a little bit on that.
Sure. Not only do you have to establish yourself to be better than you was when you come in, it's not just in words. It has to be in your actions. It has to be in the way you present yourself. It has to be in the things, the way that you believe. It has to be a full transformation, and you have to be able to demonstrate that to the people looking. There's no such thing as gimmies when you come out of prison. You either earn it or you stay.
Right.
And it takes, and it's not just something you can do within a year. It is a multiple year progression from the man that you were, or woman, that you were, to the one that sets before the board and they decide, okay, now you're suitable. And you can't pull them.
Right.
Because many of them have worked in the correctional system
Yes.
as long as you were in there.
Exactly.
So they know exactly what they're looking at when they look at it. So you have to put in the work. You have to care, and you have to dedicate yourself to self-improvement. You have to dedicate yourself to wanting to give back to the community. You have to dedicate yourself to wanting to be a better father, a better man, a better son. You have to put in all this work, because if you don't, they're going to know. They're trained to know.
Going to know. Yeah, they have the board members. They travel around to different prisons, and they hear all the best stories.
Sure.
All the drag, all the con.
Oh, yeah,
So they know when you come in and you sit on that chair, and they know when you telling the truth. They know when you shucking and jiving.
Yeah.
And if you're shucking and jiving, you got a 3-year denial, 5-year denial, 7-year denial, 10-year denial, 15-year denial. You know, and that's what they're giving now. So,
Yep.
you know, we want to show the society that we worked for our freedom. It wasn't just something that was given to us, and it's something that we have to show society that we deserve another chance for whatever crime that we committed.
And you know, if I might add, it's even a little bit more. It's even a little bit more in depth than that. The board relies heavily on your degree of insight, and insight has much more to do with the whys than the hows. I went to the board 8 times before I got my date on the 9th time, and it took me years to figure out what they were really asking when they asked the questions. You know, and it wasn't until I figured out that question, till I figured out that answer, till I applied the results and consequences of those answers to my life, that they finally found me suitable. Because, let's face it, if you don't understand why you did the things that you did or how you did the things that you did, you're doomed to repeat it.
Right.
History teaches us that history is doomed to repeat if you don't fix it.
That's right.
And that's what you have to establish, and that's the goal that you have to work for. And you can't do that in 6 months.
Right. It takes a
It
period of
takes
time.
many, many years.
It takes a period of time. So you worked diligently to get your freedom back.
Diligently.
Right.
I had my rough roads in the beginning, you know what I mean? In those upper levels, you know, the law is the law. But when I woke up one day and decided that this was not going to be for me, from that day forward, I dedicated not only my life to improving me and getting out of prison, but helping everybody along the way that I could. And I studied law in prison. I'm what you would call a paralegal. I'm responsible for over 30 people getting out of prison, and not because I wanted to lift me up, but because I had to give back. And law clicks with me. and that's how I did it.
That's right,
Mhm.
right. Was there any time that you lost hope?
Yes. Every time I went to the board, my first thought when I walked out of the boardroom, I've had enough. I'm done with this. I'm not going back. I'm not. Why? Then I'd pick up the phone and I'd call my little baby. I'd hear my grandkids in the background saying, "Grandpa, I love you when you're coming home." So it quickly, within days of going to the board and deciding that I'm done, it quickly turned out that what I was doing, I wasn't doing for me.
Right, right,
My freedom is not about me.
right.
My freedom is about the ones I left behind, the ones I destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I benefit from my freedom, and I'm awful glad to be out here, but it's all about what you give back.
Right, right. Yeah, you know, we go to prison. We leave behind family members. You know, and going into prison, I wasn't. The light wasn't turned on with me either. Going into prison, because when you go to prison, you don't do time by yourself. There's a lot of people doing time with you.
Yes.
And it didn't register to me the years of my incarceration that not only me is doing time, but all my family members doing time as well. And it didn't register in the years after. You know, I left children behind, you know, parents behind, siblings, you know, nieces and nephews, you know, and you don't see that until later on during your incarceration, who all suffers behind your incarceration. Not just the victim, not just the victim's family, but your family as well. They become victims, you know, and that's something that we live with, you know. After the light comes on, after it flickers on, you know, those visits behind glasses sometime in the hole, you know, those visits in the visiting room on those cold days of holidays and things. So, you know, I identify with you because I'm an ex-lifer myself, and I know exactly what you went through to get out of prison. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy.
Well, the progression to becoming ready to go home, like what you referred to as the light coming on, you know, there comes with that a responsibility. And it's not just the light coming on for what you did. It really is accepting the consequences and accepting the responsibility for those acts that the light had to come on for. You know, and it is about the family. It is about the victim's family. It is about the community. Your actions, every action you take, reverberates in the water like ripples when you throw a rock into it.
Right.
And the victims are really uncountable. But the ones that suffer the most are those children that we leave behind. And once we realize that we've done that, how can you not want to fix it?
Right.
How can you not want to fix it?
Right. Right. Something you want to do. It becomes fixing it becomes a part of something that you want to do, becomes a habit, you know.
Yes.
It becomes a habit that we it's like a tool. We get the tool and work on it daily.
A way of life.
You know, my old saying is another blessed day above ground, one more day to get it right. And I mean that literally. Every day above ground on this side of the fence is a blessing.
Yes.
You know, for us, life is coming home. You know, I remember the first day I met you, I was in the bathroom at 4:30 in the morning, shaving. That was my routine.
Yep.
And you walked into the bathroom and you went in the mirror and I said, "Hey, welcome home." And you looked over at me and you had this big old smile on your face. You said, "Hey, thank you, man." I said, "How much time you do?" He said, 34 years, man. Welcome home, man. And you lit up, man. And we started talking. And during our conversation, a name came up in our conversation. You said, "Huh." And we kept talking. I saw the expression in your face like you said, "Hmm." And we kept talking. I said, "You know, I was at a gathering last Sunday with a guy out of Barrio Sonitas, out of Santa Cruz. The name is Nani." You said, "Nani?" You said, "Nani told me this was going to happen." He said, "You're going to run into people that you don't even know, but you know. And they're going to take you in."
Nani Alejandros is one of the great men of our time.
Yes.
Barrio Sonidos was started by him to rebuild his community and rebuild the lifestyles of the people who are going down the wrong road, and he's literally dedicated his life and traveled all over the world, Washington and everything else, just to help us become what we should be.
He's an advocate for lifers.
Yes.
He's been to the White House. He's been to different countries. He's been around the world actually advocating for the lifers in California.
Yes.
California prisons. And he does a wonderful job.
Yes, he does.
You know, and he called me that Saturday night, and asked me if I would go to an event with him in San Francisco, and I could never turn him down if anything he asked me. And I told him, yeah, of course. And I wound up going to an event that was for people that had been on death row, wrongly convicted on death row. And I walked into this house in San Francisco, a big, beautiful home, and it was just me and Nani. I thought he was bringing somebody else with him from Santa Cruz, Boris Unidos. But it was just me and Nani. We walked into this house, and these people had been on death row. They was wrongly convicted. And one guy had been on there for 3 years, and I seen this guy, and I looked at him, I said, I know you from somewhere. I couldn't picture where I knew him from. But he had been on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 48 Hours. And after he had spoke, I said, I know you from somewhere. I went up there and I was talking to him. He said, you saw me on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And anyway, long story short, he gave a dynamic speech of incarceration, being wrongly convicted, and it was something that I hold on to. They always will. But you are inspiration, man. You know, you really are, because you come back to this world after doing 34 years in prison, and you did the change. You did the change. You know, talking to you outside of this studio in the house of Walden House. You know, when I talk to you, you have a light that comes on. You know, and you're excited to be here. You know, you're in the Walden House now. How did that happen?
You know, I believe it was being accepted into Walden's house was one of the biggest reasons why I got a date. And I can truly say I understand it now that I'm there. See, I've been clean for 30 years, and so when it became obvious to me that I was going to have to go to a drug rehab center, which is right given my crime, I part of me didn't want to understand it. I mean, I've been clean for 30 years. What do I need? Mm-hmm. But it's because of Walden Houses and the counselors and the caseworkers there that I've come to understand that it's exactly what I needed. Perhaps not so much for the drugs, but we have to relearn how to live in society. Right. We have to relearn how to talk to people and how to act in large groups of people and how to associate and how to be part of a community. And Walden House has given me that opportunity. I can't say that I'm actually there yet, but because of Walden House, I know I'll get there.
You're on your way.
And my caseworker is a wonderful person. She's helped me out a lot. And I know that when I am released into the community, I will have that little extra something that will, I'll hit the ground running.
That's good. That's right on. That's good. That's good. Yeah, we need people like you coming home from prison to be example to people coming home from prison. You know, because we have a large number of people coming home from prison after long periods of time. You know, their release in life is back in society.
More every day.
Yes.
More every day.
And people in society need to know that we're not the ones that was thrown away. We're not the one that's lost.
No, and not only have we tried for many years and worked and struggled for many years to do the work on ourselves that was necessary for us to become. I have this saying, when I die, I want my tombstone to say that he was the man that his children and grandchildren said that he is. And that's the goal that I'm working for. Mm-hmm. I don't really care about a lot of money. I don't really care about most things that should be important to a person living in society. I just want to be the kind of man that they say that I am, and if I am that man, then I will help people along the way. Mm-hmm. And that's my goal. I just want to give back. I just want to help somebody else not to make the mistakes that I've made, and if they have, to help them understand how to fix it.
That's right. All right. You said
To me, that's what it's about.
you're doing a excellent job, and we want to commend you on your return back to society after proving to the Board of Prison term that you're suitable
Thank you.
society, and you keep doing your work, man.
Thank you.
You know, we want to make sure that society knows that we will make a difference. We are making a difference, and our goal is to be part of this community as law-abiding citizens in society. Whatever community we may go to, we want society, people in society, to feel safe. We were not monsters. We committed whatever crime that we did. Temporarily, we went insane. We came back quickly. We came back, and we are worthy of being part of this society once again. We want to thank you for being part of the Wendell Illamine Show.
It's been an honor. Thank you for having me.
Right, thank you. Right, thank you.